So I'm going to apologize up front before we jump into this video, because what I'm about to say might upset you, and it definitely will upset some of your bass playing friends, but it also will upset some bass educators out there as well. So apologies up front, but the brutal truth is that there are so many bass players out there that are freaking terrible at being a bass player. It's actually not their fault. It actually comes down, I believe, to the fundamental fact that they don't know what a bass player is actually supposed to do. So with that, let's talk about what we do in the band. What does a guitar player do in the band when they're not screaming out a solo? Pretty easy, right? Well, let me ask you this. What happens when you open that first Guitar Method 1 book, right? What do you learn? A major, E major. You learn chords, okay? Because guitar players play chords predominantly all of the time when they're not shredding, okay? What about keys players when they're not shredding? They're playing chords, okay? Playing chords, outlining the harmony. What do bass players do? Let me ask you this, because when I ask bass players, what do you do in the band? I get a whole range of answers. I groove, I play in the pocket, I play sort of like funky lines, I'm sort of like filling out the bottom end of the chord, I'm doing sort of like, I'm bridging the gap between the drums and the other players in the band. All of those are true, but we are doing the same damn thing. We are playing chords. Now, just wait 1 minute before you dive in them comments down there, okay? Before you write, well, it's the bass player's job to make things groove as well. Dude, it's everybody's job in the band to make things groove. It is not the drummer's job or the bass player's job or the guitar. It's nobody's job. It's everybody's job to make things groove, okay? It's everybody's job in the band to make it groove and feel right and get people dancing. It's not on one person or one individual instrument, okay? It's our job to outline the chords. Now check this out. When you listen to a guitar player playing chords, they might outline the chords like this, okay? By playing the chords or arpeggiating it. Okay? How do bass players outline the chords? Okay, do we just play roots? No, we can do. Do we just play roots and fives? Well, we can, okay, but to outline the chords, we need to be able to know chord tones, which is why it drives me crazy when all of those bass method books out there, when you open that book 1, they're like, here's a major scale. And then on page 2, it's like, and here's the 7 modes of the major scale. You see Ionian and Dorian and Phrygian and Lydian and Mixolydian. And although all of those things are great and valuable, it isn't what we should be teaching bass players on their second day, you know, day 2 of that bass method, okay? We need to get everybody on board, all the bass players out there, and get them into playing chords, chord tones. It is so important. And if you're a bass player that can't outline chords, that is like a guitar player who cannot play chords. Let me give you an example, okay? Simple chord sequence there. C major, F major, E minor, A7, D minor, G7, C, G. Now, if you were a guitar player and you looked at that, okay, you're going to be... Okay, you're going to play the chords. If you're a keys player, the same thing, okay? So if you're a bass player and you look at this and you have no clue how to outline these, okay? You have no clue and you're just thinking, oh, I'll just play root notes and I'll just use the odd fifth and I'll just try and lug the rest of it. My message to you, the unfortunate message, and it is sad, okay, is that you're like a guitar player who can't play chords. Because our job is to outline the chords. Now, how do you outline the chords? Well, first of all, you need to know the chords. So you should know the triads for all of these chords here, the triads, okay? So the guitar players and keys players, they might be thinking, this, right? C, E, and a G. Well, bass players, we need to be thinking, C, E, and G down here. For the F, guitar players might be thinking this. Okay, we need to be thinking F, A, and C. F, A, and C. Okay, E minor. Okay, guitar players, we might be thinking E, G, and B. E, G, and B. See how we're playing the same thing? And I'm going to show you how to play, what this sounds like in practice in just 1 second. But first of all, we need to know what the actual the triads are. So I'm going to write them out here. Now, as I'm going to write them out, you will be looking, you'll be thinking, oh crap, that's a lot of notes. Please know that I am not thinking notes when I'm going to, all the stuff you're about to hear me play, I'm not thinking notes. I'm thinking patterns. If you want to know how to do this, how to learn the triads over the entire neck and do it in a really, really thorough way, so when you look at the neck of the instrument, you basically see all of the chord tones available. So when I think about C major, for instance, I think I can see C major over the entire fretboard, F major. I'm just playing triads there over my entire fingerboard. If you want to do that, okay, I highly recommend that you check out my fretboard accelerator program that teaches you how to do that, okay? It's open once a year for enrollment and it's open right now. Okay, it's a 6-month course, and what we do is this stuff right here, but we do it over the entire neck, and I have a really specific system that I use to teach people how to do this, which relies on using 3 patterns for each triad. And here's a cool thing. Did you know there's only 4 types of triad ever? Which is cool, right? There's only the major, the minor, the augmented, and the diminished. That is it. So if you want to check out that program, again, it's open for enrollment right now. It closes in only a few days' time, and I only open it for enrollment once per year. So if you miss it, like in 2023, you have to wait till 2024. Make sure you check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Hit that, or just go to studybasswithscott.com and you can find it there as well. It is badass. I think it'll be huge for your bass playing. Now, let's get back to this. So we've got all of the roots on the top line here. So this chord sequence, C, F, E, A, D, G, C, and G. That's the roots to all of the chords. Then we've got the thirds and the fifths. When you're practicing this, I would really try and get this all down in the first 5 frets to begin with, okay? First 5 frets. So that looks like C, E, G, F, A, C, E, G, B, A, C sharp, E, D, F, A, G, B, D, C, E, G, G, B, D, and then back to C. That's all of the stuff that you're going to create your bass lines with, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick example of me grooving around this, okay? Now before, you might have just been playing roots, right? Okay, that was just roots, okay? But what we want to do is to be able to outline the chords, because that's what we do in the band. Bass players outline chords, okay? So we can use any of these notes within that first bar, and then, well, any of these notes as we go through. Let me give you an example. Once you get the triads down, once you turn yourself into a bass player who can outline the chords, right? We know what we do in the band. We can outline the chords. Once you've done that, you can then approach these notes by chromatic approach tones, okay? So for instance, you've got a C, E, and G, okay? All I need to do is play a semitone below each of those frets. For the F, I'm just playing a semitone below each of the chord tones, okay? In fact, I can play 2 semitones below. So that was on that C there. I'm going da-dee-da to that target tone, up to the E, to the G, okay? So for instance, on that C there, that cool line there was just 2 2 notes to target the C, 2 notes to target the E, 2 notes to target the G, and then to the root, to the third, to the fifth, to the root. Okay, so you can get all of these cool lines. That was just, again, a C triad. I'm using chromatic approach there to just flesh it out, to be able to create awesome lines using just the chords. Okay, just using the chords. All of this stuff that you hear me play, I'm not thinking scales, I'm not thinking modes, I'm not thinking any of that stuff, because, and just, yeah, let me just put it out there, right? I'm not down on that stuff. I use modes all the time, I use scales all the time, okay? But what drives me around the bend is when I talk to students and they're trying to get that stuff down before they've got this stuff down. That is like the best example of putting the cart before the horse, okay? Now, before, I'm going to give you a great example just at the end of this video and kind of really try and push this to the limit a little bit. But before I do, remember, if you want to check out my Fretboard Accelerator program, where I've got a whole system to teach you how to do this over the entire fretboard, all of the different triad types. It is an awesome program. You can work with me personally for 6 months. It is open for enrollment right now, and we only open it once a year for enrollment. So go check it out. The link's in the description, or you can just go to studybasswithscott.com and check it out there. Now, let me jump into this one more time, and I'm really going to push this. Not only am I going to play it all over the neck, okay, I'm also going to use a lot of chromatic approaches. And also, to point out, I forgot to mention this, you do not need to play roots on the first beat of every bar. You can play a third on the first beat of the bar. You can play a fifth on the first beat of the bar. You can take a lot of liberties there, and it'll still sound great, okay? So here we go. And by the way, I'm using the SBL Groove Trainer. You can find it over at scottsbasslessons.com. That's the drum machine I'm using. And the setting I've got here is Gergo Borelli. It's actually Gergo Borelli, the drum I'm playing here, at 75 BPM. And the track's called Breaks on Full. You can find that at scottsbasslessons.com. A 2, a 3, a 4, C. Last time.